to say it like
she's buying recordings and then she's going to sell the whole course on Instagram and make a fortune. and me and you will be looking like idiots as she retires early.
Yeah, but without taking part in the lessons.
I know, clever. This is the sign of a real entrepreneur.
Yeah.
This is why I will never be a successful business person.
The same.
I hate these people. If you're watching, on to you. We're on to you. We know your game.
She might take it seriously. She hasn't been here yet.
She doesn't know what I'm like yet. So
Okay.
it's kind of advanced learning. So hello anyway. Welcome. So going to move you around a little bit and ask you, I think, first to have a look at page 67. Okay. And have a look at that last exercise, exercise 11, where you've got these kind of quotes or quotations about statistics, okay? Mm-hmm. And for each of those ones, what do you think they mean? How do you understand them? How far do you agree with each one and why? And I'll come round and help you and listen, okay? Oh, we've lost someone who's vanished. Olga.
Make it anymore.
Also, I better move someone. Okay, so let's do it that way. Okay.
I'm sorry, can I join?
I will move you, Olga. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks.
Hey, welcome back. So before we move on, I just wondered if there was anything from there you wanted again, or anything
Yes.
you're still scratching your head about and wondering what the hell it's
What we want.
about. Again?
The second one, statistics are no substitute for judgment.
Yeah, so it's
Confused.
fine to have access to statistics. It's fine to be informed by data, but in the end, your own personal judgment and your own ability to decide things based on your own experience, you know, your kind of intuition is better than access to statistics, I guess is what that's saying.
Okay. And then there
You
was
know,
another.
I mean, sorry, Oksana, if you think about it from like a teaching point of view, okay, in a way, in class, you have to kind of use your judgment a lot of the time. You can't always say, I'm not sure, let's check the statistical information about this particular question. You know, what you do in class is you kind of say, well, this is how I think this works. I might be wrong. You know, the data might prove me wrong, but in the classroom, you have to trust your judgment. And as you get more experienced as a teacher, your judgment gets better.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
And
then there was that about statistics shows that of those who contract the habit of eating, very few survive.
Everyone asked about this one.
Funny, yeah. But does it mean that it's just somebody is trying to say that statistics just tells us something obvious and doesn't really provide?
Not quite. I think it's more that, you know, it's that idea that you can prove anything with statistics. It's like everyone who eats dies. Okay, there's a direct correlation between the number of people who start eating and the number of people who die. Therefore, don't start eating because it will cause death. But, you know, as Tatiana said, what about the people who don't eat? It's like, okay. So, you know, there's also obviously a direct correlation between the number of people who don't eat and the number of people who die. So it's that idea that just because there's a correlation between two things, it doesn't mean that there's a causal link. It doesn't mean eating causes death.
So, and then the phrase contract the habit of eating means start
So develop
eating.
this habit. Yeah, get into the habit. And, you know, once they contract the habit of eating, they then want to eat 3 times a day. They want to eat breakfast, lunch and dinner.
And snacks,
you know, it's suicide. What are they thinking, these mad people? Yeah.
Okay. My favorite is the last one.
Well, we're all just statistics. Well, you know, every time we use Zoom or Facebook or VK or Telegram or Instagram or anything like that, we are all basically just statistical data that's being sold to big companies to advertise stuff at us. It's always an entertaining thing to think about when you're posting a picture of a forest on Instagram, you know, more data for them to sell things to you with. Scary, really. You know, we are all just the products. Yeah. Sorry to depress you. So, gonna move you around a little bit, okay? And I think I'm going to ask you to look next at kind of exercise 3. This is a kind of a little exercise in critical thinking, okay? So again, it's like when you're looking at research or when you're encouraging your students to look at research, obviously there's a lot of research in the world out there. And maybe some questions that it's important to think about is, well, who commissioned the research? Who's paying for it? How was the data collected? How big was the sample? Has the research been peer reviewed? Are the figures presented in their full context, or have they been selectively chosen or edited? And does the data actually explain the conclusions? Okay. So what I'd like you to do, if you can, is just discuss why it's important to think about these things when you're looking at research and kind of weighing up how valid the research is. Okay, and I'll come round and listen. Hey, welcome back, welcome back. In a minute, remind me, I'm going to tell you a story about a kind of an academic argument that Andrew and myself have got into at the moment about research, okay? Before then, was there anything from there you wanted again, or anything you're still not sure of? Any ideas you wanted to check?
I have a question about the last question, right?
Yeah.
Does the data explain the conclusions? To me, well, I think that the conclusions are all usually based on the data. But
You would think so, but that's not always the case, okay? Or sometimes basically people use the data to construct one particular kind of argument and then add another couple of conclusions that they wanted to add anyway, in the hope that people won't notice that they're adding extra conclusions because they're already kind of overpowered by all the data and the statistics. And so they kind of go, yeah, wow, so that must all be true. And sometimes when you sit and look at it, you're like, so what? No, wait a minute. Just because this and this is true, that doesn't prove this. You know, that's not a conclusion you can draw from those statistics. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty common, actually, I think, in especially in kind of like, you know, linguistic research and stuff, where it's quite a kind of soft gray area. It's not like physics research or anything.
Soft gray area.
Yeah. Any others that you wanted to check about?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Number 4. Has the research been peer reviewed?
Yeah.
This is very new to me. So I didn't know that a research has to be peer reviewed.
Yeah.
How does it work? I mean, well, a company carries out research, then this company has to find another company for peer research.
So usually
how is it done?
It's to do with respected journals within the profession. Okay. So like if you're a doctor or a medical researcher, there are things like the Lancet, which is like the most widely respected medical journal in the world. If you're in English language teaching, you've got ELTJ, which is the English language teaching journal published by Oxford University Press. And they have quite a kind of rigorous process. So if you submit an article to them, they send it to a team of respected professionals in the field who will review it and give comments on it and write feedback on it. It's then sent back to you as the writer, and you're expected to edit it and make any changes that they suggest. And you then resubmit it and they check it again with the peers. And so that means by the time it goes to publication, it's been kind of okayed or given the green light by, you know, all kinds of other people within the field. And it's very different to just a company publishing a paper or just, you know, someone publishing a blog post or a newspaper article, because anyone can do that. It hasn't been peer reviewed. So, you know, a lot of the anti-COVID stuff, it's like, yeah, okay, it was published and it was on the internet, but has it been peer reviewed? Who's it been peer reviewed by? What was the process that it went through before it was published?
Yeah, is this only true for scientific research? Like,
it's true for anything that ends up in a journal.
Yeah.
So I mean, like in English language teaching.
Well, for example, any marketing research, they don't have.
They'll have their own journals. Every field, like whatever field you work in, if you're like a civil engineer or if you're a lawyer or something, there'll be certain journals within that field that are held up as the most respected journals in the field. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, before I forget. So at the moment, Andrew and I are engaged in a heated debate with a journal in Canada, because some guy published some research claiming that outcomes and headway, kind of conflating outcomes and headway and kind of putting them together, and basically saying neither of these books can be used in the Scottish ESOL section because of the Scottish law. And we read the paper and we just thought, well, this is making all kinds of crazy claims that I don't think are true. It's selectively cherry picking bits of our book. It's misrepresenting the book as a whole. It's the whole research construct is flawed. And we wrote a long letter to the journal, kind of explaining why we were unhappy about it and asking what processes they'd gone through to publish it. And they basically sort of went, oh shit, we outsourced that one. It was a special British edition and we don't know what the process was. And we basically said, well, at the moment, it's more or less libeling us. I mean, we could take this to a lawyer, and I think we could make a good case that you're damaging our business prospects by publishing research which is flawed. And they've sort of panicked and said, we can withdraw the article, or we can ask for an apology, or you can write a contradictory piece. And so we've had to decide, what do we want from this? And we've written a long article basically criticizing the research that they'd published already and saying why it was very flawed. So that's been fun. It's, you know, it's kind of academic arguments, like academic hate war, basically, all written through this very polite kind of language. And the real language is like, you know, how dare you fucking write that about me? In academic language. So it was very entertaining to learn how to do that.
Did it take long?
Yeah, it took forever. it took months than we wanted it to take. Yeah. So let's have a look at some of what came up as we were talking. See if I can dig up the article. I'll make a note to myself. You can see the kind of exciting crap that people in academia spend their life doing. Yeah, so, oh God, what happened there? How did I do that? sorry. Yeah, take your time reading through, and anything you're not sure of, tell me.
So I'd like to ask you about the difference magazine and journal. Journal, it's like computer version.
No, so journal is like the official peer-reviewed academic kind of version. So 1 minute. I have some examples here. So something like that is journal. It's a kind of academic research-based journal. A magazine is just, you know, like when you're in the local newsagents or in the airport or something, you can buy a magazine, could be a fashion magazine, a business magazine, a football magazine. Journals are always kind of research-based and more academic.
Yeah, it's like scientific, yeah.
Yeah. And it can be paper-based, it can be online. I'm old school, so I like paper-based.
Okay, thanks.
Because I'm going to leave a house full of rubbish for when I die for my children.
I've been lumbered with the job. Lumber, what is that like?
So lumber is another word for timber, like the wood that you chop in the forest. And it's like, I've had this burden put on my shoulders. You know, I carry this weight. So yeah, when my dad died, he left tons and tons and tons of stuff. And lucky me, I've got the job of dealing with it all. So I've been lumbered with it. And you also use it like, you know, you might kind of say something like, I don't know, my wife's away on a business trip at the moment. So I'm lumbered with the kids
Okay.
for the week. Not such a heavy burden, but.
Does it mean that I'm usually lumbered for a short period of time, not forever?
It's a short period of time. And it's usually a specific job. So it's like at work, you know, if the boss suddenly says, Oksana, lovely to see you. So what I want you to do this week is, and you're like, why am I getting lumbered with this?
Okay.
Why me? Because I like you.
Because I dislike you, yeah.
Because you're here first.
It's not about me. I'm never the first.
So
Usually the last.
Tiana in this group, you know.
Okay. Then the length and breadth of the country.
Like up and down the country, all over the country, the length, the breadth of the country. And it's often together as like a fixed chunk. You know, we got shortages, the length and breadth of the country. He traveled the length and breadth of the country. They performed the length and breadth of the country, all over the country. I'm actually going to change that one.
This one, I'm on to her. I know her game. What is I'm on to her?
I'm on to her. It's like, I know what she's doing. I understand her evil plan. It's like sometimes if you own a shop and you see a couple of kids and you know they're basically planning to steal stuff from the shop, you might just walk up to them and say, I'm on to you. Yeah, I know
It's basically you understand something bad is going to happen.
Understand your evil plan. I know what you're up to. I know what you're doing. I use it with my kids quite a lot when I can see that they're plotting something. It's like, I'm on to you. Oh, you're up to something. But you don't know what. Do you have this idea in Russian of your ears are burning because someone's talking about you? Same idea.
Yeah, the same.
We have the same. It's nice.
And do you have talk of the devil?
We don't
No,
say this.
equivalent.
Okay.
We have a similar one, but not the devil, but another word. Like
Less polite one.
it starts with letter S, H. At the end, it's letter T, 4 letters all together.
Talk of the shit.
Yeah, like we say, remember the shit and it will come out or something like that.
Oh, we have much more decent, of course, yeah.
Basically,
Accent is-
people in Russia.
But with ears burning the same, absolutely.
Okay.
We also have that if your ears are cold, it means that you are not the cleverest person in the world.
Okay. Or just you forgot your hat.
No.
I remember the last time I was
No.
in Krasnoyarsk and I went out for a walk I was going to go and meet someone for a coffee. And I was walking through the center of town and I didn't have a hat. And it was like -30 or something. It was a 10-minute walk. Twice, 2 old ladies came running over the road and they were so worried about me and they were shouting at me, kind of going, oh, no, don't worry, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. But, you know, maybe I was stupid because I had cold ears. So,
So it's causal link, yeah?
yeah, causal link.
Correct.
Mhm. Sorry, my dear, I have to go. See you next
Problem.
week.
See you next week.
Yeah, me too. Sorry, see you next week.
Okay.
I'm
Bye.
waiting for the recording.
I'll send it through later.
Yeah, okay. And I really want to know everything.
You're going to miss it. You can watch the video.
Yes, but what if they don't ask something?
Oh, I can't help you with that.
Yeah, okay. Girls, I trust you. Ask everything. See you. Have to run.
Right.
Anything else you wanted to ask about?
What is it? Nefarious. Nefarious.
Various ways. It's kind of dark, strange,
Uh-huh.
serious, evil ways.
Nefarious. Yeah.
Various, yeah.
Nefarious. That's child's play. Yeah, very similar to Russian. Yeah.
Yeah, it's child.
Mhm.
What Facebook is doing compared to the government.
Data scraping our social media. So they were searching our social media for data.
They're
Yeah.
kind of going through every
Mhm.
little bit of information about it.
Data scraping. Mhm.
Data scraping. And there are whole companies that specialize in this. You know, they can take your Facebook profile and they can data scrape it and they can find out all kinds of stuff about you.
Big Pharma has pumped a small fortune. Does it mean that they invested a lot of money, or
Yeah, I guess you could say invested. It's like
pumping? Is it?
like a pump, like a pumping water.
Yeah.
They put lots of money into.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, just that thing about big data, big pharma, big tobacco.
Mhm.
You know, the big chemical companies, the big tobacco companies, the big data companies.
The figures are far higher than they're letting on.
They're far higher than they're telling us.
Okay.
You know, they know things that they're not telling us. They're not letting on. They're not revealing the real truth. You know, it's like when Chernobyl happened, you know, things were far worse than they let on. Nothing to worry about. Small accident.
Mm.
Uh-huh. Last bit.
Can you scroll down, please?
That's it. That's your lot.
Oh.
Anything else you're not sure of? Or you think Oksana might want you to ask about? No pressure. You okay?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to send it over
Right.
later
Mhm.
with some vision and stuff as usual. And I'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.